Well, I think it's quite clear from that our guest tonight needs absolutely no introduction. But please, once more, just welcome Emmy Award-winning actress Lisa Kudrow.
Thank you.
I want to start by asking you, of course, about Friends, which for many of us as children of the 90s, we grew up with it, we saw it constantly, and we learned a lot about what life was like for people who were a few years older than us. And that was kind of where we got the message. And for you, when was the moment when you realized how big it was?
It was after the first season, and we were all invited to be on Oprah, which should have been our first clue.
Right.
And we were really excited about that. But while we were on her show, she showed this little package they put together of people at internet cafes that were going online and chatting about the show and talking about the show, and then people talking about having friends parties where everyone gets together to watch the show every Thursday night. And we all sat there like, huh? And she turned around and went, "You all look, did you not know this was going on?" We went, we didn't. We didn't have a clue.
And how big an impact did that have on your life? All of a sudden, you had this instant fame for hundreds of millions of viewers.
I think the first time I remember feeling that was not long after that moment. Then we go back to LA and we have to do a photo shoot for Entertainment Weekly, I think it was. And as the six of us are walking out of the photo shoot, going to the parking lot, there's countless paparazzi. And it's nighttime, so it's all, with the flashes going off. And it was so terrifying. It was really scary because, they scream your name. You've all seen it now. They're like, you always thought before that you'd be bathed in love, when you're famous. And that'll just be so nice, like a warm hug. And instead it was like, "David, Lisa," like screaming at you like you're doing something wrong. Everything comes out like a reprimand because you're not looking at their lens. And that was really alarming for all of us, and not knowing like, how am I going to get to my car? And how am I going to get out of here? How long is this going to last? So that was the first time.
And did that change a lot for you once the show had finished airing new episodes? Did the level of fame affect that at all? Yeah,
gradually went away for me, anyway. But, it wasn't as bad for me. I got married right after the first season also. And, my husband's not an actor. So there was no intrigue about, what actor is she going to be dating and who's she with now. So, phew,
I want to talk a bit about one of your latest projects, Web Therapy, which if anyone hasn't seen it, you should. It's fantastic. And it's all about you're playing this narcissistic therapist. You're doing these 3-minute interviews because you want to cut through the crap that comes with therapy.
Yeah.
Sessions.
Do you call them therapy interviews here?
That might just be me.
Oh, okay.
And you couldn't be playing a more different character from Phoebe in that sense.
Yeah.
And it's all about this self-involved person. How was it acting in that way?
Oh, it's so fun. Because, every mean thought that, you try to put away as a decent human being, you can just let it out. Because she's awful. It's really fun.
And that started off online, and then a few years ago, they turned that into a fully fledged TV show, as it were.
Yes, sort of. It's still new media. It's still a web series. Each session with a different guest star is like, between 3, 5, 7, sometimes 14 minutes long. And then when Showtime, which is, pay cable, premium cable network, they license it. So it's a ready-made for Showtime. We just reformat it into a half-hour show. But, the fun part about Web Therapy, I have to say, is, well, first of all, it's improvised. And second of all, the guest stars we get are really, it's very exciting to get to work. I think, to me, the biggest deal is Meryl Streep did it. So that was really fun to improvise with Meryl Streep. That was really fun.
And do you think there's a big future in that kind of TV through social media and through new forms that reach out in different ways?
Well, we'll see. I think in a way, I don't know. there's a lot of layers to that for me because it's sort of like the Wild West, you know, what's going on in the internet. Not so much for younger people. There's a lot of shows and YouTubers, you know, that get millions of viewers. But I think for like slightly older audiences, it's not happening on the internet as much. So, you know, we did that, and we're, you know, ancient to be on the internet. But I think for networks, it's kind of a nice way to see, you know, what works on, you know, like what a show is going to be, and they don't have to spend millions of dollars to shoot it first. So that's not happy news for TV writers and, you know, people developing TV shows. But for, you know, the creative people, it's fantastic that you don't have to. I could never have pitched as a TV show. Well, it's just me and someone else, and it plays on computer screens only. Isn't that hilarious? And, you know, they don't do anything. They're just talking. It's really great, you know. You can't sell that. You can't. It's not possible.
And how have you found the experience in terms of really spearheading your own project there?
Oh, I mean, that's great. You know, I started a production company to do exactly that. You know, when I saw that Friends was winding down, so around 2003, I started a production company with Dan Bukatinsky, who's my partner. And he's an actor and a writer and a producer. In fact, now he's on, I don't know if you guys get Scandal yet. Right, that's a phenomenal show. It's really fun, very thrilling. Well, Dan's on that, so you can see him on that, and on Web Therapy, except you don't get it here. But anyway, so we started our own production company because I knew that if I did another TV show, I'd want to have some creative input, and that I wanted to actually have something beyond just, you know, a vanity deal. They're called vanity deals where, you know, if you're an actor on a show, you can get a production deal at the studio you're at. But I wanted to really know what I was doing, you know, with producing and all of that. So I actually did do a series after Friends that was on our HBO called The Comeback that I, you know, created, and I was involved in the writing and producing, and it was a great show. It didn't get picked up, but it was a great show.
And in terms of, you've made the move into the creative area, but you started off as a pre-med at college.
Right, yes,
and I'm wondering how you made the transition from pre-med into acting. And they couldn't be more different to many of us.
Right, I made the transition abruptly in my head. So I've graduated from college, and then, you know, I had always, as a child, wanted to be an actor, and then I put all that away for high school and college. And because I decided that that's, like, not respectable. That wasn't, you know, a respectable goal. And anyway. But after I graduated, I realized that I was worried that I would have regrets if I hadn't tried, at least. And I really didn't want to have regrets. So I just reasoned, you know, look, I'm only 22. I don't have a mortgage. I don't have, you know, a family. I have no responsibilities. This is actually the time to pursue something like this, and then we'll see what happens. And I just kept going, and I just kept, in my, you know, alternate reality, heard nothing but encouragement. Even with, you know, some of the negative feedback, I turned it into, well, that's for now. They don't know, you know. Which is necessary, too. I mean, I think you have to be a little deluded.
And how were your parents when you told them about that?
Thank God, maybe she'll lighten up and find a husband. I think that's what they thought. Right. But they were really supportive. Whatever reasons, I don't care, because they were supportive.
And would you give the advice to any aspiring actors here, and I'm sure there are lots, to go into that today, despite how tough it is still?
Well, yeah, it's always been tough. I mean, I think any artistic endeavor, it's going to be tough because you don't know, you know, if you're going to be able to pay the rent, or, you know, it's hard to go into any artistic endeavor if you're expecting, you know, some high dividends. You know, bless you. Myself and 5 other actors won the lottery with Friends, so that doesn't happen a lot. But it's possible to make a living.
And away from acting into presenting, you really spearheaded in the US. Who do you think you are?
Oh, right.
And the whole journey, you've brought people onto your
Started
show looking at their genealogy. And I know as part of that, you also looked at your own quite a lot.
Right, I did the first episode we shot for the US series. Right, that was a good thing that I went first. Because we learned a lot about what it takes to produce that show. Yeah, it was a good thing I did the first one.
How did you find that experience in terms of looking at your own life rather than acting as a character?
Well, it was hard. It was really hard. I think that show is really emotionally challenging to do anyway. I mean, yeah, and with my story, you know, I half did it because at first I wasn't going to do it at all. And Alex Graham, you know, who created the series here, you know, he just drew me in. Aside from, you know, the reasonable argument of, look, you're producing the show, and you're probably going to be out promoting the show, you should do an episode. If you're asking these other people to do it, you should do it too. No one said that, which would have been easy. Instead, he said, you know, we've been looking into your grandfather, your father's father was from Mogilev, Russia. I went, what? Oh my God. So, well, I guess I could do it, okay. And so I wasn't sure what they were going to look at, and it turns out they were looking at like the Holocaust story for my paternal great-grandmother, you know, what happened there. And I really never wanted to explore that. I didn't think I could ever handle it because, you know, at a very young age I had learned about the Holocaust from my father, and he told me a lot. He had me watch World at War, and there's a big chunk on the Holocaust in that. And I saw, you know, things that were just too disturbing I was too young too, I think. I don't know, I just never really wanted to know too much. I didn't think I could handle it. So, but there we were, and we did it anyway, and I could handle it. And it was hard, but I realized there was something bigger than just my discomfort over how they were slaughtered, so.
And did that have an impact on your life after that, once you'd gone through that process?
Yes, but not in an immediate way. Well, yes, there was. It's such I think that show is so layered. That's what I love about it. And, you know, so, yes, you know, what happened from that show, there are many layers to, you know, how I was altered from it, you know, ranging from, not at all, I'm still the same person because it's still difficult and tough to process. But we also met a cousin who, the other part of the story was that there was a cousin that my father met in 1947 who was trying to pass himself off, we thought, as, you know, Polish, not Jewish. And he found the family and was going back to Poland, and they were trying to keep him in New York, and he wouldn't stay, and they never heard from him again, and had heard that he was killed. Because Jews were being killed after, you know, World War II in Poland. So the next part of the journey was going to Poland to find out what happened to him. So what did happen to him? And what I found out was that he was alive, and I met him, and his son, and his grandson, and he was fine. And my father got to Skype with him, and his grandson has stayed in our lives. He's visited, and he's wonderful. So, yeah, that was nice.
What an incredible story.
Huh?
What an incredible story.
It was an incredible story. And then, so that's sort of the thing, to me, the biggest thing that happened because of that, shooting that episode was I really always thought, like, right, so this is a rough planet. That part hasn't changed. But, you know, the night before when I was in Poland and, you know, I got off the plane and was put in a car, a really nice person driving me and drove me to the hotel, and she said, oh, this is a very nice hotel. Mr. Hitler stayed here. And I had never heard anyone ever say, Mr. Hitler. So I was like, oh my God, where am I? I thought I was so happy to be in Poland after being in Belarus. And and so I'm at this hotel where Mr. Hitler stayed. And just, it was all kind of, depressing and, like the ultimate of tragedy and horror. And thought, so tomorrow I'm going to go find out how this Boleslaw died or was killed. Or not find out, because who's going to say I killed him? Or here, it's written down how he was killed in an anti-Semitic rage, or, And I thought, so I won't get to know. Oh, well. And then, I don't know why, but all of a sudden, I just thought, wouldn't it just be nice if he just got married and had a kid and nothing happened to him? Like nothing at all ever happened to him again. Wouldn't that be really nice? And everything, I just felt, finally my heart started slowing down and I felt calm. And then it's as if I drifted upward and was thinking, oh, that would be so great. And then just went, but that's not this planet. And came right back into the stress and, tomorrow. But then that's exactly what happened. So to me, the big deal was that, no, sometimes, you can be optimistic, and sometimes it's okay to dream about something being easy, and sometimes that does happen. It's not always really grim.
I can see a lot of people bursting with questions. So
yeah, I talk a lot, so go ahead.
I think at that point we'll open it up. So if you could just raise your hand if you want to ask a question, and wait for a microphone so we can capture it on the recording. We'll start over there, just behind the guy waving. Sorry.
Hi, my name is Malika, and I just wanted to request if you could sing Smelly Cat for us.
You can request it. Yeah, I'll do it. Why not? My son is here and he's dying of horror right now. But all right, and I don't have my guitar, so I might pretend. All right. I don't know all of it. Just the part that you probably know too. All right. Smelly cat, what are they feeding you? Smelly cat, it's not your fault. That was easy.
I had a bet with someone about how long it would take for you to be asked that, but that's faster than I thought. Let's take another question. Over there, go on.
Hi, Phoebe. Oh, I mean, it's Kudrow. Sorry. Okay, hi. In real...
I can hear you.
Yep. In real life, are you a vegetarian like Phoebe?
No, I'm not at all.
Okay, so what's your view on vegetarianism, like when you are in the show and in real life? What's your view on that?
My view on vegetarianism?
You can tell them where we had lunch.
What?
You can tell them where we had lunch just now.
Oh, yeah. Well, I just had lunch at the, Chopsteak Meat House, whatever it's called. That was great. But my view on vegetarianism? No, I think it's very personal. Everyone's dietary restrictions and values. So I don't judge.
Let's take another question. Over there. There's a microphone just here.
I was wondering what you think happened to Phoebe after Friends ended.
Oh, yeah. Well, personally, I think Phoebe ended up being like a soccer mom. I think she probably got as regular as I did after Friends. No?
Let's go over there. If you could just wait for the mic, sorry. There are a few people in overflow rooms.
Hi, Lisa. I just wanted to ask, aside from Phoebe, who would you say was your favourite character on the show? And outside, in the real world, if you like, are there any particular members of the cast you're still very close to?
Oh, well, let's see. It depends on the episode I'm watching. And we all used to, it's true, or whatever week we were shooting, one of us, for a while, we did this thing. First few years, we'd say, okay, you're my favorite character this week, So at some point, it was each of the 5 of them, but not myself, oddly. So, but no, I thought everyone was hilarious. Monica made me laugh a lot, especially, well, fat Monica. Because it's so fun to see Courtney just let loose like that. This like astonishingly beautiful woman who's just, come on, let's go. That always was so funny to me.
And are you still in touch with the cast?
Oh, yes, yeah. Yeah.
Let's go over there.
Thank you. Hi, Lisa.
Hi.
Hi. Thanks for the Smelly Cat song. I wanted to ask, but I was scared, so I'm glad someone did it.
Okay.
I just wanted to know, sort of throughout the show, how much of the stuff you guys said was like ad-libbed and how much was scripted? How did it all kind of work?
It was scripted. It was all scripted. We had phenomenal writers who, in my opinion, should have been nominated and winning awards every year. It was an incredibly hard show to write. During rehearsals, we could pitch jokes, that we would come up with, and the writers were always, really generous about hearing them as long as we performed their writing first. And sometimes stuff would get in. Yeah.
Let's go over there.
Hi.
Could you just wait for the
no,
microphone?
we can't do a thing till you get the mic.
Hi. Did the actors reflect the characters that they portrayed? Because I think what makes the show so appealing is how naturally the actors seem to portray the characters.
Oh, I'm trying to think who was exactly like their character. None of us. I don't know if that's disappointing or fantastic, but I mean, the truth is, when we were all auditioning, I was the second person to be cast, and as they were about to cast me, I went, I'm actually more jappy than this person called Phoebe, so maybe Rachel. I wasn't even aware that Rachel was the female lead or, the romantic interest. I was just like, well, she's a Jap and I'm a Jap. Jappy, Jewish American princess. So aren't I more like Rachel? And they were like, no, we found a Phoebe, so just shut up, And Jennifer was actually a little more open, and, I don't know, she was a little more spiritual than I was, so I actually learned a lot from her.
Am I right in thinking that before you were cast as Phoebe, you were cast as Ursula in a separate show?
Right.
And so how did they decide on that transition immediately, or was that your suggestion?
They're 2 separate shows, 2 separate studios, but on the same network. And Mad About You was that other show starring Helen Hunt and Paul Reiser. So I did a guest star appearance on that show, and actually, I don't even know if it was a guest star. It was just a character called Waitress. She didn't even have a name. And they called me that morning, and my agent actually said, don't do it, because the character doesn't even have a name. It's just a couple of lines, and they won't tell us what the script is. We can't see that. They just want you there in an hour. You're not going to do this. And I went, yeah, I am. I'm not in a position to say no to anything. And I just drove down there, a little nervous, and I'm just going to do it. And by the end of the week, that producer named Danny Jacobson said, you're really funny. Would it be all right with you if you did 5 more of these? And I was like, oh my God, I was just about to get a day job. Yes! That would be great. And then one of the writers on Mad About You is named Jeffrey Cleric. And Jeffrey Cleric's boyfriend is David Crane, who was working on a pilot with his writing partner, Marta Kaufman, which was Friends. So they had me come, David, because of Jeffrey, knew who I was, and they had me come in, and I got to be Phoebe. So I didn't know whether Friends would be a hit or not. You shoot a pilot, and most of them don't go anywhere. They don't go to series. So I just thought, well, the good thing about this pilot on NBC is Mad About You's on NBC, and that's the job I've got to protect. Because it was such a great show, too. I was so happy to be doing it. So when Friends got on the air, and they gave it the time slot right after Mad About You, and I was still going to be allowed to be on Mad About You, everyone had to work together and reason, well, we've got to explain why that same person is on at 8 and then 8:30. So they just made them sisters.
Let's take another question. Over there in the blue. Sorry, I know 3 of you are in blue.
Hi. I think I read that at one point the whole cast kind of went on strike so that the men and the women both got equal pay. And I was just wondering if you still feel that there's problems in Hollywood in that area about women and men inequality.
Okay, well, we didn't go on strike. We all wanted to get paid the same, but it had nothing to do with any kind of gender imbalance because actually the highest person paid before we all got the same was one of the women, not one of the men. But that whole thing was more about the 6 of us need to get the exact same thing. We can't have anyone making more than the other because that would cause too much tension. And we can't afford for there to be tension when we're all meant to be best friends and blah, blah, blah. And our producers supported us, so that was fantastic. And then the next part is the inequity of salaries. It depends. I mean, you know, I don't know enough. But it seems to me that if you are gutsy enough to ask for a lot and hold out for it, the audience and your box office records will let a studio know how much, if you're worth what you're saying you're worth. And if, in general, there are more men that get paid more as actors, I mean, than women, then it's because there might be a larger audience. I don't know. I mean, I'm aware that there's a difference and it's not fair. But I don't know in this case if it's really just a gender inequality thing, do you know?
Do you think that beyond salaries, there's a lot of sexism in Hollywood? Or have you ever encountered
Well,
any?
yeah. Well, there is.
And do you think that's ever been something you've personally encountered?
Yeah, it has. But, you know, I don't know, there are varying degrees. And I think since the whole paranoia and you know, I remember we were part of the first, we had to have meetings and we were all in shock. We had to attend these meetings on sexual harassment and we were in shock over it. Like, really? Men aren't going to be allowed to make some kind of off-color joke anymore? Come on. And then it actually did stop. And, oh, okay. Great, that's one thing I don't have to toughen up about because, you know, I'm a little old-fashioned that way, you know. But, yeah. Yeah, so all of that behavior had to stop, for sure. But, you know, I don't know. Now I'm too old. No one's interested. So, I mean, that doesn't happen.
Let's take another question from over there by the wall.
Hi. I was just wondering, do you think there's ever a chance that Friends could have a reunion? Because you always hear the rumors about a Friends movie and things.
I know. I see those rumors a lot online. But no, there isn't going to be one. I know. There isn't going to be one. I know that you know, the actors would really want the creators of the show, David Crane, Marta Kaufman, who wrote and created the show, to write something, and there's no idea that they could work on. And also, I mean, I was talking about with you earlier, all of you. None of you, just these select. No, but, you know, this was a multi-camera show, so it's sort of half theater, half TV, as opposed to Sex and the City, which is single camera, which is sort of like a film anyway. So it really, that one lends itself to a film. And, you know, the sitcom thing, I can't think of one that's been done unless it was sort of a spoof, like Brady Bunch or, you know, something like that. That was a spoof. So I can see there being sort of like a spoof movie making fun of Friends. But what's there to make fun of?
Hi.
Hi.
What was your favourite thing to film when you were filming Friends? Which episode or which kind of moment or season even was your favourite bit?
Well, you know, it's the stuff that's not on the you know, that's not in the show. So one of the things that I remember the most, and I swear I might be the only one laughing by the end of this story, but it was Sean Penn was the guest star. And this was a Halloween episode, so everyone had to wear insane costumes. And, you know, I was Wonder Woman. Matthew Perry was a big, giant pink bunny rabbit. And Sean Penn was like a solar system. He had like planets or something. And it was taking a while to shoot in front of the audience. And we would always joke around in between, usually sort of have these sort of like tickling fights things. And especially Matt LeBlanc and I. So, you know, just as you're sort of like walking through the set and you kind of get too close to someone, they could like, ooh, and tickle you, and it's terrifying. And so, you know, Matthew and I are sort of engaged in that kind of in that war. So Matthew's already, you know, like on guard. And Sean Penn was just sort of like walking by, and Matt went, whoa! Like Sean Penn was going to tickle him. In his planet outfit and Matthew's pink bunny costume. He wasn't going to tickle him. So we laughed really hard about that. He was, you know, like what? Anyway. I don't know. It just makes me laugh, the idea of like Sean Penn going, ee! He wasn't going to do that. So that's one of my favorite moments.
Let's take one from the gallery. No? Okay, quiet gallery. Over there in the black top.
Hi. I really loved Easy A, and I thought you were brilliant in it. And I was wondering what it was like to work with young female comic actresses. Like Emma Stone is absolutely hilarious. And did you feel like you saw yourself in them, or like do you think it's changed the way young comic actresses are in the industry now? And how is that?
Oh, well, I didn't see, I mean, she's fantastic. I mean, I was mostly just struck with that. And I had also just worked with her on another movie that many people didn't see. I had worked with her in a movie called Paper Man with Jeff Daniels and her and Ryan Reynolds. And she's just fantastic, you know. So I don't know, because when I'm in the scene, it's all I can do to A, remember my lines, and B, you know, I'm just trying to be that person with that character. So, you know, I mean, I think the thing that struck me when I first met her was when she and, oh, what's his name? Anyway. Oh, he's so cute. Culkin. Kieran Culkin. Yeah. So, because they were both in that other movie. When I first met them, they're like, oh my God, we loved The Comeback so much. That was that HBO show I was talking about that you guys, you know, don't know much about. But, you know, like, we loved it so much. I was like, oh, thank you. I was like, woohoo, you know. They're young. And so it was about me. It wasn't about her. But I was kind of blown away. She's just really effortless and funny, and it's easy, and she just knocks it out every time. So, yeah, that was fun to see. They're very confident. That's kind of what a lot of us talk about is, you know, some of these younger actors, they're just so confident, you know. They don't seem worried about a thing, which just makes them better.
Let's take one from over this side, please.
Hello. I was wondering if you enjoyed playing more serious roles, because I saw you in Wonderland with Val Kilmer, and I was wondering what your position was regarding like playing a comic role as Phoebe or a much more serious role in films like Wonderland.
Oh, yeah. I loved that movie, and I loved it when I've gotten to, play roles that weren't comedic. It's easier to me. Because with comedy, it just feels like there are so many possible tones, and unless you really know the director's work, or you think you get the tone of the movie, and then you show up, I'm talking about comedies, and then you show up and everyone feels like, they're a little more heightened than you were expecting. With comedy, I think there's so many variations in pitch, as opposed to a drama, which is just being there and having the appropriate emotions, and the director can adjust you. But with comedy, I think it's tougher to get adjusted. I don't know. Does that make any sense? Okay. Bless you.
Let's go over there.
You played Phoebe Buffay for like a decade. I was just wondering if any of her like mannerisms or characteristics ever influenced the way you behave just in your life, because you're doing it so much. And also, like, by the 100th episode, did you find yourself not having to try that hard at all when you walked on set because you'd done it so much, or was it still like an effort to work even at the 10th series?
Okay, so the first part, yeah, I definitely felt and still feel a ton of Phoebe in me. And I'm trying to actually shove her out as I'm getting older because it's not appropriate. But she's really lighter and a lot easier to get along with, I think. And then the next part was, by 100th episode, is it easier to just show up? And yeah, you'd think. Because yes, it is. Except I remember one season well into it coming back, and I was having such a hard time. And Matt LeBlanc, who always, everything he said was just, well, anyway. But Matt LeBlanc just went, "What's going on with you?" He's very direct, and what's going on? And I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing. This isn't working. He says, "Are you kidding? You know the character. Just relax. Stop it. You know the character. You think it's supposed to be work because it used to be work when you were figuring out the character. You don't have to do that work anymore because you know her." And I went, okay, he was right. I was looking for work.
And what kind of impact did that have on future roles? Did you find other roles slipping into Phoebe at times? You'd adopt her mannerisms?
Sometimes, yeah. Yeah, and I know, but not a ton. But sometimes, yes, and it was on purpose, because I know for certain roles, that's exactly why I was asked to please do the part, because that's the person people are going to want to see.
And was that including Roni and Michelle's high school union?
Well, no, because to me, they're very different. Two completely different kinds of idiot. Well, Michelle Weinberger, that character, is definitely an idiot. But that was my first kind of job, because I did a play called Ladies' Room, in which there were two characters called Romy and Michelle, who'd come in and out of the ladies' room, and we were on stage a total of 5 minutes, the other girl and I. So I had played Michelle Weinberger for a long time. I knew exactly who she was. So that character existed before Phoebe.
Let's take another question. Where are we? Over there.
Hi, you've obviously worked with a huge variety of people over the years and all the different projects you've done. Who would you say was your favourite actor to work with?
Ooh. Yeah, what? Let's see. My favorite actor to work with. That's tough, because there are different reasons, why you're so thrilled and happy to be working with people. But I think just because of the sheer 10 years of it all, any one of the 5 people I had worked with. Now that, I'm doing web therapy, and so far we've had Courtney Cox, David Schwimmer, and Matt LeBlanc do it. And there's just something really easy about that. Even though we're playing different people, there's a trust there that shows, So I guess that's my answer. Yeah.
Over there at the back.
It'd be interesting to hear your deepest regret in life and your proudest achievement in life.
What was the second one? And my what? And proudest achievement. Oh, okay. Deepest regret? No, I'm happy to say I don't have those. Because they don't help me. I'm only interested in things that help me. So deepest regret. I mean, I do have one regret, but I don't think it's very deep. I sometimes wish that instead of being a biology major, I had been an Italian major. Because I think it would have been more fun. And achievement, well, I mean, they're right there, my husband and son. So 18 years of marriage with that fantastic man and that phenomenal 15-year-old boy. But how gross of me to call that my achievement. All mine. The thing I'm most proud to have participated in. How's that? I'm just avoiding everything you said. I'm avoiding all. Yeah.
Right, let's go over here. You've been keen for a while.
Thank you. Hi.
Hi.
I feel bad spoiling the moment now, but
okay.
You know Gladys, the picture with the hand.
What?
Gladys, the.
Oh, that thing with the half torso?
Yeah. Who made that?
I don't know.
Do you have it?
No.
Oh. It's not what I wanted to hear.
I think the guy from, the Greg Grande either made it, the art department, or he bought it from an artist. I don't know. But by the way, we weren't allowed to have any of that. We didn't own any of that stuff. So we weren't really allowed to have anything. Except I did get one thing because Matthew Perry begged and he gave it to me when we wrapped. And that is, there was a cookie jar in Monica's apartment that sat on top of the refrigerator. And it was like a clock face on it. And the reason he gave me that was because we were doing a scene and we just, hadn't thought it through, I guess, in wardrobe. But in the scene, Phoebe says, "Ooh, look what time it is. I gotta go." Nobody thought to give me a watch. So we're shooting, and it rolls around to that line, and I'm like, oh, uh-oh. And so I went, "Ooh, look what time it is," and I gestured to the cookie jar. I got up and walked out. And so then, cut, great. And when I come back in, I think it was Matt LeBlanc or Matthew Perry went, "Did you just point to the cookie jar to say, look what time it is?" So, yeah, we laughed about that. And then years later, he made sure I got the cookie jar.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Let's go back to this side here. Please. Over here. Right here. This one.
You mentioned your production company and your production partner, and I was just wondering sort of what sort of projects you have in development, because I'm a big fan of your production partner as well. And I was just wondering sort of what sort of things are you continuing, sort of expanding web therapy or going into new sort of projects?
Well, so we're still in the middle of doing web therapy. That'll be our 5th web season, which is on in the U.S. right now on Hulu, and it's the 3rd season on Showtime. So we're still doing that, and Who Do You Think You Are is now in its 4th season over there. So we're pretty busy with that. And Dan is also, he's on Scandal, and he's a consulting writer for Grey's Anatomy. And then when he can, he comes to our offices. And, we're spread thin. So in development, we do have some things, but we're too tired to flesh them out. But thanks for asking.
Let's go over there.
Hi, I wanted to ask about Regina Flange.
Right. Oh, you just wanted to ask about her.
It's like, what does it actually mean? Do you have a part in like deciding the name of it? Or?
I don't remember. I don't think I did have a part in deciding the name of it. No, I don't think I did. I think the writers came up with Regina Phalange, and it just ended up being the same name. I don't even think I was aware that I kept using the same fake name. But no, they came up with it. It's funny, I know.
Would you ever want to have some sort of alter ego you could slip into? So, you know, go shopping without everyone crowding you, etc.
Oh, yeah.
Great. Let's go on. Over there at the back.
Hi. So the 6 of you friends are pretty big stars, so everyone knows what you're like out of character. But I had to ask, is Janice as bloody annoying out of character as she is in character?
No. Oh, no, that's Maggie Wheeler, who played Janice. And no, she's this really smart, fantastic woman. You know, a very smart, wonderful woman who just happened to know what those kinds of women sound and act like really well. So, yeah, she's great, Maggie. That's funny. Because she was so good at it, you figure, well, that's got to be her. Yeah, it's not, though. She's very poised.
Let's go to that guy at the back.
You've crossed over from acting to producing. I just wanted to ask you, what are some of the challenges and pleasures of working as a producer?
Well, my favorite part of producing is actually the work I get to do producing Who Do You Think You Are, more than producing anything else. Just because I still love that show. I love the history. I love the, personalizing the history, and I feel like I get to learn something every episode we shoot, because obviously I wasn't a history major, and I zoned out just as much as everyone else in America when we studied history and world history. So I don't know, I'm just thrilled to be learning things. And the reaction that whoever does the show, just the reaction you get from them is great. They're all really appreciative. So it feels like a public service.
Let's take another question. Over here.
Hi, so I was just wondering, in Friends, and I think you mentioned as well in your web therapy thing, you have a lot of kind of one-time guest stars. What's it like working with kind of, sometimes you get quite big actors, like I think in Friends one time there was Brad Pitt or something. Is it a bit, do you get starstruck? And has there been anyone who's particularly fun or difficult to work with?
From Friends?
Or
anywhere?
Of your shows?
Difficult? No. I mean, the thing with Friends was, and this is for anyone who came on, we had some fantastic people that came on Friends, including Brad Pitt, yeah, obviously. But no one difficult. But the thing is that there's something about that 4-camera way of acting, where the most commonly asked question for any film actor coming on to do Friends was, how do you do this? Like, what is, so there's an audience, but it's a camera. What, like, really scared. I mean, people were really terrified to do it. So, but no one was difficult. They were just scared.
Over there in the blue shirt.
Hi, so I just wanted to follow up on that question. How do you do it when you're pitching to both an audience and 4 cameras?
I forget. I mean it. I completely forget. I mean, I guess I know Phoebe, and to me, what I would tell them, really, everyone would look at me like, oh my God, you're an idiot. I would just say, you know, you have the same intentions. It's, you know, it is acting still, and you have the same intentions, just louder.
Did you rehearse
Because it brings
a
your
lot?
energy up a little bit, you know. We used to. We had. Like the first few years, yeah, we'd rehearse a lot. And then, yeah, because we all knew our characters, we didn't need the rehearsal. So, and then, you know, once you shoot it, there's time to learn your lines before you go on. You know, your scene is up. And then they change the lines every time you shoot. Because, you know, the audience heard that joke. They're not going to laugh this time. This one might be better. So they change things a lot. So we didn't, you know, after that many years, I mean, even after 5 years, we knew who our characters were. We didn't need to rehearse as much.
Let's go to one on this side. Over there at the front.
Hi. When Friends finished, were you ready for it to end, or did you want to keep going? And the same with the other characters as well.
And what?
Did you want it to keep going, or were you ready for it to come to an end?
Oh, okay. So it was a little of both. I mean, in one way, yeah, I was done. I knew that, you know, it has to end sometime, and, you know, the cast sort of acted as one voice. So, you know, if any of us didn't want to do it anymore, then we all didn't want to do it anymore. And so, you know, I definitely had mixed feelings about it, knowing that it's time for it to be over. But my God, this is a great job. I mean, where do you make this much money, laughing all day, every day? You know, and it's such good writing, and people still like the show. So to me, that was sort of the challenge. But it's good that we finished, because I never would have. There. Now you know I wasn't one of the ones who wanted to stop doing it. Sorry. Sorry, 5 other people.
Over to here in the blue t-shirt.
There we go.
Oh,
what do you think makes good comedy?
What do I think makes good comedy? I mean, I think ultimately it's that thing that surprises you, you know, that thing that's unexpected. So, I mean, even, yeah, I don't know. And you know, the thing is, yeah, the writing usually has to be good. It has to demonstrate that people were listening to each other and responding to each other. But we would do this thing, the 6 of us, where we would take a line, one of our lines, and, all right, you know, Lisa, you say it now. And then I'd say it as Phoebe, and it came out completely different but made sense as any of the 6 of us would say it. And it was still funny. It was just different, given the character. So, I don't know. That has nothing to do with what you asked. But I think because what I was getting to was that everyone has their own voice, and they're so unique. Everyone really is unique once you find your voice, that it doesn't matter, because as long as what you do is just kind of unexpected, that's what makes it funny.
Let's go back to this side. Over there.
Hi, I was just wondering, one of the compliments that are often paid to comedy shows today is that it's this decade's answer to Friends. I was wondering if you had a particular show that you watched or that you consider to be this decade's answer to Friends, or a show like that.
I kind of feel like New Girl and Mindy Kaling. Not that, you know, they're the answer to Friends. I just like those shows. And, you know, they are about people who know each other and have relationships. So, but I like those shows. And they're younger than I am.
Let's go over there at the back.
There are so many comedy shows on. I mean, why do you think Friends had such a magic that carried on for now? What was special about Friends that wasn't there in other sitcoms at the time?
What's the first thing you said?
I can't remember, but why was Friends so popular and why is it still so popular now, do you think?
Oh, I have no idea. I mean, I think it had something to do with the writing plus the chemistry amongst the three of us. I mean, the six of us. The six of us. And why is it still funny? I don't know. I mean, I think because the comedy's behavior-based, less than like current events-based. Character-based. I'm tired. I'm jet lagged. But behavior and character.
Let's go to this side. Over there at the back.
Hi, Lisa. Just a quick question. How do you think, like, or what do you feel when you see yourself on television, be it in Friends or in anything else? Is it weird?
Yeah, well, it depends on what mood I'm in, which I kind of learned early on. If I'm in a bad mood, then I'm like the worst actor I've ever seen in my life. And if I'm in a good mood, then, oh, okay, that's not bad. So that's how I feel.
Let's go back over to this side, over there.
Friends gets a lot of attention. Is there anything that you've done that you think sort of deserves enough attention as Friends? Do you would you rather we had less of a focus on Friends and looked at some of the other things you did as well? More?
No, I mean, I don't argue with what is. You know, Friends was this massive hit that just spoke to everybody in so many different countries. So that is what it is, you know, and so it's great that it happened, and it's great that people like it. And the other things I've done have been just a little, not as much mass appeal, you know. They've been a little more niche, I think. And so I can't possibly expect, and thank God I don't require, that everything I do after Friends be as big a hit as Friends, because that's just a lifetime of disappointment. You know, that's unnecessary.
I no longer feel bad about how many questions here are about Friends.
What?
So
I don't.
Sorry?
I understand. I mean, I know. It's big here.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's take another question. I can't see the face, I can just see a hand, but yeah, that works.
Hi. I was just wondering what your favourite storyline to shoot on Friends was, and if you had like a favourite episode, whether it was about Phoebe or any of the other characters that they had.
Oh. I should have thought about this before coming here. You know, I mostly remember the earlier episodes because that's when we were all really paying attention to each other. But I can't remember. I'm sorry. I have no answer. I'm sorry. All right.
Let's take one from this side then.
I'm still trying to remember something.
Over there.
Hi. So my little sister, she really wants to become an actor. She's 17 now, and she's planning to go to film school next year rather than go to university. So I would like to ask, would you recommend that you follow your dreams to pursue an unstable career like acting, or would you recommend furthering your education and having something to fall back on in case things don't work out? And my little sister would like me to ask you if, because she's a huge fan of yours and she'd love to work with you, if I could pass you her resume afterwards.
She needs a casting director to send her resume to. That's a tough question. You know, that's up to the person. It's really tough. I mean, I did feel like I had a fallback. So I did always feel safe in case it doesn't work out. I could always go back to school and pick up on wherever I left off in the field of evolutionary biology. You know, that wasn't going anywhere. So that was my fallback. It depends on who you are, you know, whether you need a fallback or a fallback is actually not going to be helpful. But it's up to you. I honestly believe, at least in the US, opportunity for an actor, it comes at regular intervals. And, you know, sometimes you're ready for it, and sometimes you're not. And it's okay, because just like the tide, it's going to come around again. And maybe that time you will be. And then it's whether or not it's going to be a big hit or not. But, you know, what I noticed from taking acting classes, because I was, you know, sort of running around for 8 years before I got mad about you. And what I noticed were people that just had to stop because life started picking up speed, getting married, having kids, and then there were other responsibilities. And so, yeah, I have to take care of those things. I can't wait for this to happen. And to me, that's why, you know, they had to stop, not because they weren't very good. You know, they were good. I don't know. It's really tough. Not comforting. I didn't help in any way. Sorry. I always vote for a college education, though. If for no other reason, okay. If for no other reason, then because the experience you pick up by going to school and meeting other people and the other information you're going to collect in your head, if nothing else, I think is all really useful for then bringing it to whatever characters you're going to be playing down the road. Well, yeah, I gave you an A. I said she should go to school. Okay.
I think we've got time for 2 more questions, and they all go up. Over there.
Wait, I'm sorry, but out of 6 of us, only 2 of us went to college. So the other 4 did fine without it. See how there's no answer?
Let's go to the girl in the red top with the polka dots.
You're going to college.
Yeah, I think there's polka dots.
Hello. I was just wondering, as you just said, you majored like evolutionary biology. If you remember, was it quite fun doing the episode where you argued with Ross about saying that evolution, you didn't believe in evolution?
It was so hard for me. It was really, really hard for me to do that episode. Yeah. And part of me felt like, oh, wait, could I have a better argument against? I wonder if I could, you know. It was really hard.
And let's take our final question. Over there. Yeah.
Hi. You mentioned that web therapy was quite improvised. And I was wondering whether you enjoyed the creativity and freedom that could bring, or you found it like a pressurizing situation?
It's kind of thrilling, and you know, it's Don Roos, who's a phenomenal writer, director, and Dan Bukatinsky and I, who come up with, we created the show, and so we come up with the outline, the stories. And because it's improvised, it's only when you start playing the scene that you realize, oh, okay, that's not a story that we came up with. Or, oh, this third one doesn't help explain, okay, uh-oh. And so you have to just go in and rewrite what the story is. But the dialogue is completely improvised. So that's the challenge there. And then in editing, you know, because there's no script to follow and people go off in different ways, but the editing is really masterful, I think, on the show. It's a challenge, but fun.
I'm afraid that's all we've got time for. So on behalf of all of us, thank you so much for coming.
Oh, thank you.